Does it feel like, having been at ESPN for 2 years now, does it feel like ESPN still prioritizes radio?
Oh God, yeah, more than ever. Like that's the wildest thing on this is you are totally in the right to ask that question. But the craziest thing that I think that people think is that ESPN doesn't prioritize radio. And here's why. I have countless examples as to why I would think that it does. So the number one thing that you can do in terms of radio is make it into a business where everybody makes money, right? So what did ESPN do? And in full transparency, I also work for Good Karma Brand, so I am biased in my next answer. ESPN said, let's get the people that are better at selling radio than anyone in America, that they treat radio like marketing and content partnerships, and let's work with them to build this thing up. So ESPN decides to partner with Good Karma Brands to invest even more in radio sales. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the hiring of CeCe, of Smalls, of myself, of Clinton, of Q, Myers, Harry Douglas, Freddie Coleman, Amber Wilson, Ian Fitzsimmons, the entire Emmett Golden, the entire team, okay? Jay Reynolds. What they decided to do, Justin Craig, Amanda Gifford, Dave Roberts, Mike Foss, Mark Gross, all the people that have been involved, what did they decide to do? They decided to say, what has worked historically at ESPN Radio? And you know what it is? Find radio people to do radio shows. Greeny, Golick, they weren't megastars until they got to ESPN Radio and were amazing. Okay, Colin Cowherd, Portland, Oregon to ESPN Radio, megastar. Yeah. Ryan Russillo, awesome. Was not a radio star. I'm sorry, was not a TV star, a Ringer star, or Barstool star like he is now. But then he loves this. Ryan Russillo works his ass off and worked his ass off on radio to make it into a big radio platform. Labatard, all of these people that were radio people that came up how we came up. So they're actually, in many ways, recreating what they deem to have worked for them the most and trying to do it with us. So when people say, does ESPN care about radio? Yeah, I think they care about radio more than ever. Getting the best sales team and building radio with radio people sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because like you guys replaced or followed Max Kellerman, Keyshawn, and Jay Williams, correct?
Who are yes. Okay, let's talk about those three. You will not find a smarter person and better broadcaster than Max. He's unbelievable. Literally the best boxing announcer ever. Brilliant basketball mind, right? Keyshawn, go ask anybody at ESPN LA. They absolutely love him. He's brilliant as well. Pat and Nuno tell me all the time about how his takes were like, are you like almost Canty like in this way of like, are you sure? And then, oh, wow, it's right. And Jay I've become very close with, because Jay's still with us at ESPN. Jay is so smart and such an entrepreneur that at times I've literally said to Jay, I'm like, why are you wasting your time doing things like dumb me? Like, you should be running a Fortune 500 company. So those three are superstars. And we follow those three. Correct.
So did that, they weren't necessarily, I mean, I know like Max and Keyshawn, they had plenty of radio experience, but at that point they didn't seem like radio guys that were getting partnered together for that show. So did it feel like a lot of star power to follow? Or is it are you more so just kind of knowing that, no, you guys are your radio hosts at heart, and you don't really worry about it?
Sorry to interrupt, but to me, Brandon, it's not about following. Yes, I said we technically followed them, right? But I look at it as like, we got to build on what they did, right? So Mike and Mike, obviously, insane what they were able to accomplish. The greatest national morning show on the sports side ever, not even a close second, right? And that the 6 8 10. So you have what they did. Then you have Trey Wingo and Golick Jr. You take what they did. Okay, so they built upon that. And then Zubin, and then Max, and then Keyshawn and Jay, and all of the teammates that we have had previously. So every single year building, right? The least likely group to build was our group. if you just think about it logically, like how are these three going to build on those platforms when all of these people were staples on ESPN?
Right.
And the way to do it was simply show up and do our job every single day and let this process play itself out and care about this as our first priority and only priority, right? So what ESPN has done is they did an amazing job of making sure that this show is the number one priority and then everything else supplements that. Whereas to the other teammates that you mentioned, credit, they all had a million responsibilities simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right? So CC does First Take every Tuesday. That adds on to this. He doesn't miss our show. Smalls does NFL Live. She does Vibe Check. She's able to do our show in addition to those things. So I think it's our job to build on what our teammates prior did. We were the least likely to do it. So what avenues can we take to do it, right? Show up every day, lean on our radio professionalism, make the main thing, and rely on the people around us, Nuno and Pat and Cam and Jovante and Rob. And once that crew has settled in with Justin and Liam leading the way, I mean, that's how we do it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that you, Chris, and Michelle, like you all worked your way up from local radio to this point. Like, yes, Chris is a former NFL player, but he wasn't an MVP quarterback or a superstar when he was playing. Like this, it wasn't given to any of you. Like the platform had to be earned at this point.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that because it's a great observation by you. And this is just speaking about our show. It's not speaking about anybody previously. So Chris would show up to ESPN New York. His dad loved Bill Daughtry or loves Bill Daughtry, okay? ESPN host, New York host for a long time.
Yeah.
And his dad would put in his head how good Bill Daughtry was as a host. So CC found a way to get in touch with him. He became his mentor. And CC just started showing up to ESPN New York for free to just, I'll sit in for an hour. So one thing leads to another, right? He's doing volunteer work in essence or internships, however you want to look at it, while also winning a Super Bowl. And then he's getting a random hour here, a random hour there, then a show here, then a show there, then a night show, then a day show, then a morning show, and then national afternoons, then national morning. Yeah, so if you look at his process, it started from working for free and then all the way up. Smalls, I mean, you want to talk about working her way up. She was a radio producer in St. Louis. She then got a radio producer job at ESPN Radio and worked extremely closely with Ryan Russillo and Danny Cannell and George Sedano and Jen Latta. And she, to this day, has amazing relationships with all of them. And Ryan has been amazing to her as a mentor and friend. I know. I mean, I don't speak to them directly about it, but I know of it, obviously. And she then goes back to St. Louis as a host, then comes back to New York to just on September 4th of whatever the year before we started. September 4th, the year before we started, whatever that was.
22. I think you started in 23.
23. So it's September 4th, 2022. She goes to New York. Says, I'm just going to roll the dice. She then starts filling in on ESPN Radio nights and weekends. And she starts filling in, ironically, on Sirius XM, including once filling in on Morning Man. Not with me nor Babs. So she's doing all of that. ESPN is putting this show together. Justin and Amanda at the time were kind of looking at, okay, who could be with who? How do we work this out? And she gets hired, and she was literally on a fill-in shift. Justin Craig texted her, I need to talk to you after the show. Now, you get that text, you get nervous, right? It's like, oh, my God, what did I do? I think that she was just ready to sign a new fill-in part-time contract. She's like, maybe I don't get it. And Justin presented her the opportunity to host in the mornings. And so, yeah, the three of us really did work our way up. But the two of them, I mean, to their credit, they worked their butts off to get to this place.